Well, hello, my name is Jamie J, and I'm joined here with Gerry Watkins. And as many of you know, I had a podcast. I started podcasting in 2014. We did well over 1,000 episodes in 3 different podcasts. And quite frankly, I got to a point where it's burning me out a little bit. And uh, um, now I'm coming back around to where I kind of really enjoy it. And I had a wonderful conversation with Gerry a couple weeks back, and he really had a big impact on me. We sat down and he talked about my business, and he asked me tons of really really cool and challenging questions, some of which I haven't even considered or thought about. And after that call was done, I have a I let me reverse a little bit. I have a really good circle of influencers around me. They look out for me. They tell me what I'm doing wrong, and they're there for me. And I feel very fortunate and blessed in that aspect. But I know many of you that are watching this, including some of my clients and just friends, don't have that kind of foundational support that many of us need. And just like any professional sport or anything like that, there's always coaches and there's always players, because no matter how well you are, even if you're playing at the highest level, having a second set of eyes or having somebody to provide that support for you, I can't even put a number on how important that is to your success. And so I wanted to, I asked Gerry if we could do this. It's kind of like a podcast, but what we're going to do is just create this video and then share it on social so that you can see it. And you're watching it now as we're doing this. And I just thought it'd be kind of fun because you kind of know what I do here at Bottleneck Distant Assistance. I've been sourcing distant assistance for many years, past the 2-decade mark. And I just really have a lot of fun with it. But what I haven't been able to do lately is start giving back. And now I'm going to take full advantage of that. And I want to introduce you all to Gerry Watkins. He's just incredible. And what I really like about him, as and I'll let him tell you a little bit more about this, but what I really like about his business savvy is the fact that his questions are so powerful, and he's not just doing it off the cuff. He's got a massive training behind him. There's a format. There's definitely a method to the madness, and I think many of us need to find that. And so I wanted to introduce you today to Gerry Watkins. Gerry, how are you?
Man, I'm doing fantastic. I'm doing fantastic. And without getting too into it really fast, I just wanted to say how much I appreciate you taking the time to do this. And I'm glad that I'm the one freshening your waters to get back into in the podcasting, because that week I met you and another really nice gentleman, and I introduced the two of you. I hope you guys will hook up because I thought, wow, this is a good week. Yeah, this is a good week. I mean, you don't I meet nice people, but you're a super guy, man. I really appreciate the opportunity and the invitation.
Oh, Gerry, thank you so much. And I want to start with a little bit of background, but I want everybody to know Gerry's got a really cool opportunity for you, completely free of charge. But I think it's fascinating on what it will do for you, because it's really going to put you in a position of knowing how to improve not only your leadership skills, but also how to run a team. And it's just really exciting stuff. So that's coming. But before we get there, I wonder, Gerry, if you can tell me a little bit more about your background and what you're doing now.
Yes, yeah. Well, I'm like you. The gray is real. My gray is more real than yours. So I've been around the block a few times. And I started as a boy hairdresser at age 12, bootleg barber. It's how I got it. Was my first real business. I didn't know it was a business then. I thought it was just a quick side hustle. But I went into the hair industry at 25, got licensed, ended up getting with the international salon group called Tony and Guy. And we did 6 salons. They did over $1 million each. So that was my biggest introduction into business and really groomed me to understand things at the level I am now. But what I also did was went in business with my 4 sons who are hairdressers. And I don't know if you have children, but if you work with your children, they'll kill your self-esteem. Okay. So I had to get away from my kids. I like to joke and say, I said, but they really don't need me. So they could do it better. And so it was really a nice transition, because having those amount of salons and 150 employees, it gave me the ability to grow management teams and really learn how to work with staff. So I just took all of that and rolled it into coaching and training. And that's what I've been doing for the last 10 years. And though I loved hair, Jamie, I mean, I've been to London 20 times just to study hair. I'm like a kid in a candy store now. This is my greatest love. It's what I'm doing right now, coaching and training.
I love it. You can definitely see the passion, and to me, it seems like you have super high integrity, and that just comes through with the motivation levels that you have, and a lot of people are attracted to that, right? I know I sure was. I was very appreciative that you took 45 minutes out of your day, and it was totally free of charge, but you gave me a platform to kind of think and say, wow, maybe I didn't think about that. That's super important. I probably need to consider thinking about that. And so I wonder if you could tell us a little bit more about the coaching that you're doing for business leaders, and who it is that you're coaching for.
Yes. Yeah. Good. Great question. Yeah. My favorite client are smart people, people that are in business. I like business leaders. They can be business owners, or maybe they're in the corporate America. Both sides work for me. What I focus on mainly is what I call personal leadership and team leadership. And also, how do you lead the masses? Those are the three areas I like best. And obviously, the personal leadership is more of a mindset approach. I think for me, I think it's true for a lot of people. The hardest people to lead, Jamie, is me. Okay, that's the person I get up and try to lead every morning. and sometimes that's more of a challenge than other times. So the personal leadership is really a mindset piece. But one of my greatest leaders, Bruno Moscolo of Tony and Guy, he inspired me to really understand that if you're going to grow something, you've got to learn how to lead people. And so his style was, how do you inspire and motivate people? How do you use that level of influence to move them? And so that's what I love about team leadership.
Can I put you on the spot for a second?
I guess so, yes.
What is just one thing that you've learned on inspiring team members through your leadership? What is one kind of trait or one thing that you found over the decades of your previous experience as an entrepreneur that has really worked well to inspire a team and kind of get them to see your vision and kind of listen?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. We just finished teaching a 12-week leadership training with the city of Chandler, and it's one of our main leadership trainings. And the whole idea is, how do you move people from me to we? So you said something very interesting. As owners, we try to get people to see our vision. Well, they're not really that much into our vision at first until we see their vision. So the number one thing I found to inspire people is find out what they really want. What's a win for them? What's their vision? Why are they even with you, or what are they up to? Because we're all kind of naturally selfish by nature. I know I was, and I had to worry about my rent. But see, they don't care until you're worried about their rent. And so until we go there, it's people aren't paying attention. They're just getting along until they don't need you anymore. Unless they really see that you are there for them. Now they can relax, and now they can afford to be there for you.
I love it. You know what I thought as soon as you said that, I was like, geez, Jamie, I framed that question very poorly. Good job on you for answering that in such an amazing way. But then I thought, one of the worst things you can do as a leader is promote some kind of a toxic environment or toxic culture, toxic workplace. And I don't know about you, but I have a story where I was in radio and all the bigwigs were coming, and the general manager gave me our mission statement on a piece of paper. And then he said, do not ask any questions. If they ask you a question, be very specific and very short and concise, but don't ask any questions. And I thought, first of all, now knowing what I know now, why didn't I know the mission before? Because I should have known the mission before I even got the job. And then I was like, wow, it's kind of stifling. Like if someone speaks, you're almost afraid to speak up at that point. And
Right.
I find that if you're going to find out what makes them tick, the team members, you're right. You totally have to make them feel comfortable and find out what they like to do and what their backgrounds are. I think you nailed that right on the head.
Yeah, well, that's that. We call that, how do you move people from me to we? You've got to become interested in them first. And since we're the leaders, we got to lead in everything, so that why would they become interested in us when we're not interested in them?
Well, usually I like to wait to do this at the end, but how do people find you? Like, where would they go to learn more about you?
Yes, probably the easiest thing is to go to our website, which is where you actually put the word Leaders Edge with an S .online.
The Leaders Edge .online. Okay, we'll also post that down below.
Okay.
But I wanted to kind of talk to you. You and I had spoken just before we started recording, and you talk about a 5-step system to align teams in leadership, and you also talk about an ebook. I'm wondering if you can kind of just barely touch on what that 5-step system is that you bring people through, and then we can go into the ebook that people can get for free.
Okay, yeah, definitely. Yes, well, it's really our approach. It's where we start working with teams at. And we call it a 5-step alignment system. How do you align teams to leaders? Because the first step really is finding what are the disconnects. Because if something isn't working and you doing what you do, you get this, something's wrong with the system. It's not the team. It's not even the leaders, but there's a disconnect going on. And so we need to find out what the disconnect is. It could be simply, as I mentioned many times, is that they don't feel really valued or anybody's really truly interested in them beyond, I need you to do this or I need you to do that. So what are the disconnects? And once we find the disconnects, then the next step is to get people really huddled around a shared vision. Like, what is this? What are we really doing here? It's just like you said, you didn't know the mission statement, and that's most people's companies. How am I supposed to be excited when I don't even know what excited you years ago to even get involved with this company? So we get them around a shared vision, and then we start working on changing the culture. How do we change the culture to where it's a culture of accountability, a culture of profitability, right? Because most of us aren't running nonprofit agencies. Is the culture of people taking ownership? Because in many cases they aren't. So we get them around this we get them working on that culture, and then we actually start training the leaders in influence techniques, not ethical influence. How do you communicate and influence and inspire and motivate your team? And then lastly, how do we set all these systems up to where, again, as you're doing, that's what I was so excited. I've been telling people about what you're doing, is how do we set a system up where we can duplicate this and we can do this over and over and build on this, all this work that we've created. How do we get the systems in place, in other words?
Yeah.
So that's a set of approach.
Well, thank you for sharing that, because you and I are both pretty systems driven people, and especially with the success you've had in multiple businesses that you've launched. It's without systems and processes, they're chaos ensues, I like to say.
Chaos. Yeah, I just want to say real quick, that's the difference between mom and pop and world class, right?
Oh, yes, exactly. Yeah. Absolutely. What do you think is the biggest mindset shift that business owners need to make to break through their current ceiling?
Ooh, okay. Now that's a good question. I'm going to answer it like I had to ask my granddaughter the other day. I said, what's your favorite? I said, don't ask her a favorite. That's one of your favorites. Okay. Because she'll be sitting there, I don't know, Grandpa. But yeah, so one of the things I would say, because there's several things that play into that for me, but I think it starts with me being into leadership. It definitely starts with you understanding, as John Maxwell likes to say, you're the lid to your business. As you grow, the business grows. That's why I'm into coaching. If you don't get any better, the business, whatever you know now, has got you where you are now. If you want to go higher, you're going to have to learn, do, or be something better or different. And so for me, it's taking that responsibility that if it's to be, it's up to me. Whatever is happening in this business, especially if I'm the leader, I've got to take all the responsibility for it. Even though it's not all my responsibility, but if I want this thing to work out, I've got to wonder what I could do. I can't keep thinking about what I need them to do and what they're not doing. Well, what can I do to get them to do this? What can I do? I got to take full responsibility for the results. And I think for me, that's what it means to be the leader.
Oh, that's fantastic. Can you give maybe an example of a mistake that you see even successful entrepreneurs making that quietly holds them back?
Yeah, let's see. What would be what would be a good one to think about? I would say, let me think of for myself. You know, what held me back the most? Well, I'm going to go to
actually, if I could interrupt, because I might be able to provide some underlying support for that question. In that, oftentimes we don't see our own faults, right?
Mhm.
So we have eyes, and as soon as another set of eyes, my wife, she loves to come by and she'll distill down something. And I'm like, oh, I should have thought of that in the first place. But I'm so on track with me that it sometimes takes an outside perspective. And so as I ask again, what's, one mistake you see even successful entrepreneurs making that quietly holds them back? I understand that they may only see what they see. And that's why it's so important, Gerry, for you to be able to come in and kind of be that second set of eyes for them.
Well, okay, and that gave me some time to think about the most powerful information I can give them. You know, you mentioned earlier that me and you are very system driven, but it's not just because of our experience with business. That's the nature of our personalities. You know, that's why that's the nature of what you do. That's why you do the delegation thing. You love systems, so do I. And so one of the biggest mistakes, or one of the biggest, I won't even say it's a mistake, just one of the biggest ways a business owner can help themselves is to learn the difference in the personalities around them. You know, because what keeps a team from flowing a lot of times, it's not that somebody's lazy or not skilled. It's all the conflicts that come naturally from different personalities. So that's, again, why we start with, we have a training called Crack the Personality Code, because that's what I found helped us the most, even in my partnership. For instance, I'm a Earth, you have a lot of Earth. We need a plan. We like a plan. That's what an Earth does. The Earth has systems running it. Okay. I'm also a water. I'm very nurturing. You're water. I think that's another reason why we connect. You have a lot of water. You're a very caring person. You like the deep relationships. You also my partner though is a wind and a fire. Winds like people too, but they like to have fun. They're partiers. You know, they like big crowds. He's a fire.
I don't like big crowds.
Exactly. We talked about that. He's a fire. A fire is a results driven, very direct. They're very necessary. It's a great way. Most natural leaders are fires, or a lot of them, I'll say. But my point is, all of those personalities have an upside and a downside. And what goes on inside a business a lot of times is it's clashing because people aren't appreciating the benefits of each, and they're not knowing how to deal with the downsides. And so once you start, like me and my partner, we used to clash, but once, like even today, when he says stuff now, I just kind of let it run over because he's very direct. And, you know, sometimes you feel picked on, you know, you're like, man, but you know, like that's his nature. Fires are direct, so give him grace.
Well, there's something to be said too for working with opposites, because oftentimes they'll be able to do something you're unable to do, or identify something that maybe you don't have a strength in, and having the power and wisdom and understanding to know that that's okay. You know, you're both that's why vision and mission are so important and critical, in my opinion. Would you agree?
Oh yeah. Oh, without a doubt. Without a doubt. Well, that you can shift when people get this understanding. I see people shift in 2 hours. Once you understand, my boss is not a jerk. They're fire. They're direct, and that's how they're made. And we need them because us waters, we can be so back and forth trying to make sure we're climbing the right tree. Or us earths, we can be spending too much time dotting all the T's and crossing, we dot the I's, right? And cross the T's. We can get so involved with the detail that the opportunity is gone because we've spent too much time. So you need a fire, and we all need to have fun. We need wins. So that's, for me, that's how I like, what helped us the most. And I like shifting cultures is trying to get all the people, get the right people on the bus and get them on the right seat on the bus by finding out what's their natural flow and get rid of the conflicts by understanding, hey, this guy isn't flaky. He's going, waters go back and forth because they say, we got to make sure we're climbing the right tree. And we do need to make sure we're climbing the right tree.
Amen. I can't thank you enough for giving me an opportunity today. I want to especially do a little special shout out to Tamara Thompson. She said 22 minutes, Jamie, don't go over 22 minutes. Oh. So we're gonna try and wrap this up today, but we cannot wrap it up until you tell me a little bit about Wired to Win.
Wired to Win. Yes, that's been it came about, Jamie, because we all are inundated with social media, right? We're going to use social media for this. And here I am preaching, I'm doing what I'm about ready to say you got to be careful about is everybody knows how to do everything, it appears. Everybody's telling if you don't do it on your cell phone, you're missing it. If you don't use this program, if you don't do that. And I was listening one day to a bunch of people that are mentors to me, and everybody was talking about how they made their multi-millions. And I was thinking, wow, that's interesting. That's true. Everybody has a different approach. And it started dawning on me that a lot of people are probably getting quite confused with all the social media, all the different directions that people are getting, because I get overwhelmed. And this is what I do for a living. And sometimes I just have to cut it off. I'm like, oh, too much information. And so I thought, you know what? I bet there's a way to find out what are the different ways people are kind of wired. And so I started working with Chad on it. GP, I love AI. That's my best thinking partner now. And we came up with, there's about 8 basic ways people are wired. I am first a strategist. You're probably a strategist where I got to have a plan. Okay. And I'm a grinder. I just like to get in there and do the work. Some people are intuitive. Some people lead with their faith. They got to pray a lot first. However you lead, you need to lead in the way that leads best for you. So that's when, I put together an assessment that's been very good and accurate for me and my teams. It's like, okay, what's your personal success model is what we're talking about. Everybody has their own model of the world of success, how it's going to work best for them. So I started realizing if you can help people find what their success models is, maybe there's 2 or 3 that they use basically, and get them to say, listen, don't get distracted by this guy over here. That's not how you flow. That won't work for you because you don't work that way. And I feel like people get distracted. So that's what Wired to Win is all about, is helping people. The book is about helping people understand how they're wired naturally. And then the assessment is to help them also figure out specifically how are they wired and how do you grow in that area? You can add some things if you want, but basically, how do you flow in that area? And it helps me as a coach because now I actually use it when I'm coaching people. I'm a very faith-based guy, but everybody isn't. So don't be throwing out a lot of faith-based information. It doesn't work for them. That's not what motivates them, And so
I'll let you know how to talk to them a little bit and understand them a little bit.
What's their model? How do they see success? Yeah. Use their model, not mine.
I love it. How do they get it?
If they would contact me on theleadersedge.online, and I don't mind throwing out my phone number if it's okay with you. If you can reach out to me at if you have trouble with all this internet stuff, 480 or zero, as my ex-wife would tell me. It's not an O in numbers, it's a zero. 480-206-4459. 480-206-4459. I do know my number.
There we go. Well, Gerry, I can't thank you enough. Is there anything that you'd like to add before we wrap?
Nothing other than, man, this was a very generous opportunity, invitation from you, and I didn't expect it, but I just really appreciate the opportunity, because one thing that I learned very early on, John Maxwell told us, work with only people that you enjoy working with. I didn't think it was that big of a deal. It's like, when I started off, I need money, so I'm gonna work with whoever. But I have found it is so true. If you talking to somebody like you is just so much fun and energizing. So I just appreciate knowing you. And please, let's stay in touch. Okay.
Absolutely. And Gerry, and I'll just say one thing too. You were so kind to offer to help my daughter out, because she's going to be going to the Tony and Guy school in Colorado Springs, and it was just amazing for you to offer for her to give you a call and ask you for some tips and things like that. And that's just over and beyond. So I just want to say thank you so much, and super blessed to have met you. So I thank you for the conversation. I've really enjoyed it. And I'm telling you, if you follow me and you enjoy what we're doing over here at Bottleneck Distant Assistance, you definitely should follow Gerry. Reach out to him, either give him a call. You can go to theleadersedge.online to learn more, where you can get the free ebook Wired to Win. These assessments do two things. Number one, they give you insight into what kind of person you are, and what kind of other people, how to identify other people, and maybe how to listen to them. Remember, listen was our word of the year. Listen intentfully and soulfully to engage notably. And these are two big aspects. But the second point I want to make is this will give Gerry an incredible insight into who you are as a person, so that when you do have an opportunity to speak with him, he's going to know a little bit more about you from the get-go. And that's just going to make that particular time that is so hard for each of us to maintain. Time is so important, but it's going to make that time that you spend with him that much more enjoyable and that much more important. And that's what I got out of him. I cannot recommend enough for you to reach out to Gerry. Again, my name is Jamie J. I'm the CEO and founder of Bottleneck Distant Assistance. And Gerry, if you'd like to wrap up, we can go ahead and close it out. You tell us who you are, your title, the name of your company, and we'll go ahead and close out.
Yes, my name is Gerry Watkins, and I am a success mindset coach. And my motto is, let's make success a habit.
I love it. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. And who knows, maybe I'll start my podcast up again. I don't know.
You really should. You really should.